Hey guys, it's Kenny. I'd like to start off by saying I hope everybody had a great semester. This will be our last speech due, and I want to congratulate everybody on a good semester. But my topic for my persuasive speech for this last speech is going to be: should PEDs or performance enhancing drugs be legalized in professional sports? And to start this speech, I would like to say that most high school and college kids, when they play sports, some of them want to go play college ball, some of them want to play professional, but most of the time, you're really not going to get to the professional level. You have to really push yourself and excel at what you do um, to even make it to the pros. And most college athletes, they'll take scholarships to bigger schools so they can meet new people or just expand on their communication skills and stuff like that. They're not really too worried about the pro aspect. Some of them even know that the pros are kind of a long shot for them, even making it to a D1 school in college. But the reason I think that professional athletes should be allowed to take steroids is because professionals work so hard all their life. Imagine MMA, for example, mixed martial arts, the UFC. Those guys literally start when they're 4 or 5 years old, perfecting, jujitsu or just anything like that. And most of them are very good at everything. Like most of them have black belts in jujitsu, wrestling. They're good at everything that they do, and it takes a long time to really be a professional at that. The same thing with baseball. In the 90s, when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were hitting all those home runs, who would have ever thought that it was because of steroids? I definitely think that they should be regulated though. Like they should have to go to a doctor. They can only be prescribed they can only take so many steroids. I guess they should only be allowed to take so many. And obviously there would have to be like a regulation process, and people would have to see like who could take what and all this and all that. But the point of us watching professional sports, if you watch the NBA playoffs, if you watch the UFC, if you watch football, if you watch professional baseball, we watch that because as humans or normal people, we want to see what the professionals do. We want to see the boundaries of human ability when it comes to sports, and if it comes to track or anything like that. So that's one reason why I think that steroids should be legalized in sports, because it really allows the human body to go above and beyond what you thought the limits were possible. And I think that's what a lot of professionals want, because they've worked so hard and they kind of hit this plateau when they get to a certain point. Like JD Martinez last year had hit for 128 RBIs and I think like 52 home runs. That's a phenomenal feat for a baseball player, but it doesn't come around very often. I would be surprised if he had another season like that. But in the late 90s, when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were pounding home runs left and right, nobody batted an eye. Everybody was so breathtaking at how these guys could hit those 98 to 100 mile per hour fastballs or those crazy breaking off the table curveballs or sliders that are coming in on you. And it really makes you think, these guys they're putting it all on the line to give us entertainment, and of course they're making money. But at some point they reach that plateau to where they really can't do no better than what they had maybe a previous season that was a really good season for them. So they're wanting to push themselves, and as a consumer, I would absolutely let them take steroids because the early 90s and late 90s and early 2000s, those were probably the more exciting times in baseball, especially because you had guys jacked up. A lot of pitchers were throwing 100 plus mile per hour heat. You got crazy break on pitches. Barry Bonds is out here smashing 520-foot home runs, and you don't see that anymore. Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire and those guys, they all were hitting 500 plus feet home runs because of steroids, and that is super entertaining to watch a human hit a ball 500 plus feet. Please show me any normal human being that can hit a ball 500 plus feet, and I'd give anybody any kind of amount of money, because it's just not possible. But to see human feats like that is just incredible. My second argument or persuasion would be that they're doing it anyway. Athletes are doping anyway, and only like 5% of athletes get caught doping. A-Rod went for a long time without ever getting caught. And he never actually got caught. He admitted to taking steroids. That's how he got caught. No one ever would have known. He admitted to taking steroids. And A-Rod also was another slugger who was hitting close to 60 bombs a year, which is very impressive. I think steroids, in a way, they really hurt professional athletes, and they hurt the way a legacy can be built. A perfect example of this legacy is John Jones. John Jones is a UFC fighter. He's not my favorite fighter ever, but in my eyes, in terms of what he can do and just the people he's beat, the champions he's beat, the heavyweight, light heavyweight, he is the greatest fighter to ever live, in my opinion, and I think many people would agree with me. Not my favorite fighter of all time, but here in the past 2 or 3 years, he's been just not only performance-enhancing drugs, but other drugs, obviously. But, those really, people look at that and they're like, oh, well, he cheated. Well, I don't see it as he cheated. I see it as he wanted to be the best he absolutely could be. He wanted to push his body, his mental game. He wanted to push all that to the limits in the sake of winning a UFC title, coming back, and being a 2-division champion. And he wants to put on a show for, the people. So I think that I don't think steroids should tarnish his legacy, even though it already has and it will forever to this day. But I think people don't really see steroids as for what they really are. And, of course, there are health problems that come along with it. But that's why I said it should be regulated. There should be a way to regulate it. Obviously, I'm not the guy to talk to about that. But there should be some kind of form that they could regulate it and distribute it out evenly so that these players can use these drugs to make their performance even better. And that would make things more exciting to watch. And I think it would be especially for baseball. Baseball is kind of a dying sport right now in America. I mean, I know a lot of people that still watch it, but I can definitely tell, especially at the youth level and kids younger than me, that baseball is just not hip anymore. It's not the cool thing. Everybody wants to play basketball. I think that if you started adding steroids into professional sports in general, any kind of professional sport, I think you're going to see a big jump in viewership. People are going to be buying jerseys and shirts like crazy. Just to be able to witness, these kind of freaks of nature go out there and crush 500-foot home runs, or go undefeated in the UFC, or maybe your running back goes for 2,000 yards in a season. I think people would be more inclined to see that. I just think it's all misguided on what steroids actually do for people and how it can benefit you greatly, especially under medical supervision. So that is my argument, or my persuasion on why steroids should be legalized in professional sports.